So I thought gameplay was everything because I was a dumbass, but one game saved me from that mindset. Xenoblade Chronicles. While the graphics were, it introduced me to other key aspects of gaming, spelled like this. I mean, try as you might, but not every emotion is possible by just playing a game. You can do some broad strokes, sure, like being really strong, really weak, or even childlike excitement if you're the second coming of Miyamoto-kun Sama Senpai. I'd argue, however, that several complex feels just won't happen if you don't account for everything that the gamer realm is capable of. Music, graphics, story. For me now, the overall package is very important. And hey, even in multiplayer games, if I don't like a stupid character's stupid face, I just won't use them. While Pokemon fans were freaking out about the lack of grid-based movement in 2016, holy shit, right? Another JRPG giant released a new game, and I didn't know anything about it. That was pretty good. Persona 5 gives me the same feeling I had with Xenoblade 1. Getting stronger wasn't merely a means to an end. It was actually fun. The plot complexities were spread throughout the game instead of just one big moment. And also, sorry Xenoblade 2, you don't get this point. It goes to Persona 5. The Pokemon are only 30% horny women instead of 80. So starting out, my expectation with Persona 5 Royal and pretty much any other JRPG I ever sit down with is that there will be some build up and then it'll get good. That's still the case in this game, but at least it makes hitting X exciting. You're caught in the middle of an endgame heist with questions like, who are all these wacky friends and why is this guy the best one?
See ya.
Surprise! You get caught after you are sold out by one of your accomplices and handled really nicely as you are but a minor, and come on, these people aren't that immoral. Once you get into the interrogation room, the majority of the story is told by the self-insert to Sainijuma, which apparently includes, on, I believe it was approximately July 3rd. I had other plans, but you know, Ryuji wanted to hit me up, and hey, even Teacher made an appearance. Also, I named my character after the anime name because I do that in Zelda, and I like stale bread. Once the story reaches its for real beginning, it's conveyed that the self-insert, we'll call him Ren because, you know, tried to stop a man from abusing this woman. That was a mistake apparently, but was it really? I mean, he couldn't just ignore what was happening, and thus Ren, the main character, feels like a prisoner of fate. Hey! Igor, cool guy, meets with us in a place between mind and matter, or more accurately, in the Velvet Room, and wants us to complete our rehabilitation as a trickster to avoid ruin. I am a child. Yeah, it sounds super wacky silly because we're the chosen one in a JRPG. Yes, I know it doesn't matter now. We're having fun. After Ren gets transferred to a new school, on the first day of it, he meets An, who decides to take a ride with the PE teacher, who is so cool. But this guy over here, Vulgar Boy, seems to not be a fan, saying he's the king of a castle, but what does he know? A lot, apparently. This castle is what
Perfect teacher,
or Kamoshida, thinks of the school metaphorically. It's actually something you would only know by playing Persona 5 and would simply take too much time to explain just because it's so deep. As Ren's about to get absolutely obliterated, a ghost man asks if he wants to fuck this guy up. After Ren awakens to his Persona weak shit, he finds it's not very powerful yet, so he just opts to leave this Scooby-Doo castle. On our escape with Ryuji, we find an enemy. A cat. A good character? JRPG mascot party member? Whatever, he helps us get back to the real world. But I don't know about you, but we can't exactly ignore this demon labyrinth just kind of chillin' in modern Tokyo that nobody seems to either see or have a problem with. Eventually, it's learned that the castle is located within the metaverse, a brain world, full of what people really thinky. So after a few more trips to the castle where we get Ryuji's persona in Brain World, Morgana's assistance in Real World, and also Gun in Fake World, but not Gun in Real World, it's actually very complex. We consult An, who is in a relationship with Kamoshida, who is an old man, but only so her friend Shiho can follow her dreams on the volleyball team and not get physically and emotionally abused. After confronting Kamoshida about him kind of being a rude dude with the toot, he says he's going to expel Ren, Ryuji, and even, okay, that's honestly fine. An keeps hearing about our plan to get even with Kamoshida, but we won't let her in on it. This is a boys exclusive mission, no girls allowed. Oh, what's the deal with this? She's here and she even has a persona. What are the odds of that so far? Anyways, this castle is the first palace. In universe, once you have enough information on a person, you can go there with the phone app. We just got lucky the first time, I guess.
Perfect teacher.
Palaces are the dungeons of this game, and they're a bit unique from typical JRPGs. The main thing is that they're very long. So while you could blaze through a dungeon in one in-game day, depending on your resources, that might not be an option. In addition, there's a deadline before you face repercussions for calling a teacher stinky. And also a pedophile. The time limit means you can do up to 2 impactful actions a day. Some days are limited to story progression, and even when you have the illusion of choice at night. Hey guys, this cat is forcing me to sleep. Isn't that so funny? My lighting! On a casual playthrough on normal difficulty, I never once got even close to missing the deadline. But I did waste a lot of time eating burgers. So this leads to the main split of the game, Schoolboy World, where you look up what to say because if Ryuji called me cringe, I couldn't live with myself. And the Phantom Thievery. The combat can feel slow, but once you get used to the weakness and technical system, there's going to be a lot of downed enemies, which means a lot of chances to talk about your feelings. How was your day, motherfucker? In addition to just killing, you can negotiate with your enemy, convincing them that the main character isn't a Four Eyes loser. But little do they know. Everyone in the party wears a mask in some way or another to cover up their real feels, but in the metaverse they tear them off to summon their personas and to become a good character in Smash Brothers.
I'm getting my ass kicked.
Persona.
They kind of beat you over the head with the symbolism, sure, but these previously mentioned awakening scenes are some of the best in the game. So here we have the Phantom Thieves, who are real, but what in the gosh dang are these thieves even stealing? The heart of the other person's warped view of the world, which they call a treasure. Before they can accomplish this, they need to announce to the victim that the change of heart will take place, which also makes for some of the best scenes in the game. Stealing these treasures essentially destroys the perceived value of what the target loves, leading them to be burdened with guilt and confess their crimes. For example, Kamoshida's here treasure is a crown in Brain World, but it's actually an Olympic medal. So what if that meant nothing to him?
I have been reborn. That is why I will confess everything to you all.
At the end of the deadline, Kamoshida turns himself in, and even the Phantom Thieves who clearly did the thing can't believe it worked. It seems the only way they can actively harm the person is if they kill their shadow, which if they didn't kill Kamoshida, aka the worst, they decide they won't kill. After stealing Kamoshida's distorted desires, the thing that's satisfying isn't, oh dude, I beat this demon lord boss. Yeah, plus 20 to my number stat. The thing that's actually satisfying is seeing people go through intense denial and change, be it the target or the perception other people have on the gamers. That's the canonical name of the Phantom Thieves. What can I do? It's a little embarrassing, but it's lore. After this, Ren puns off the medal and has a roaring success party where he sees a familiar man, but he's too scared to say anything about it, little baby. Which is honestly a good thing in this case, because that's a fucking cornball answer, my guy. After the calling card and...
I am the reason why Shiho Suzui tried to kill herself.
Yeah, the school is struggling with PR, so they hire best guy in the game. Maruki here counsels your party throughout the game, and he's just a likable guy, but his ambitions are unrealistic. Yeah, make a band-aid for life. Yeah. We were already acquainted with Kasumi Yoshizawa, who is another new character in Royal. Mishima pledges to make the Phantom Thieves more popular. Unfortunately, he still sucks. But with his help, we enter Mementos, the palace of the public, and meet a guy who hates a Madarame. Oh hey, it's probably a different Madarame, a real famous guy. Good thing he's not a fucker. I really wonder what would happen if we would have to face him. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't think we will face him because of all this doubt from my party. It really helps when it's blatantly obvious also. I'm being facetious here, but Sai always points out the next big bad guy to take down, so any immediate mystery is, yeah, fuck it, dude, we don't need it. Either way, the gamers gotta find out a way to steal Madarame's heart without making him very angry. Thank goodness he's just a good-natured old man. The real firecracker here is Yusuke. He wants a nude painting of Andan just completely for art. Fuck yes. Art. Once we get Madarame's information though, this palace wasn't very interesting, except for the character arc with Yusuke. You see, Yusuke is a big Madarame fan and one of his pupils, even though Madarame actively beats him, cannibalizes his future, takes credit for everything Yusuke does, and Yusuke puts up with it because Madarame is basically his father. Madarame just views twisting Yusuke's world as an art piece in of itself. But once Yusuke accidentally travels to the metaverse and Madarame's inner shadow spells it out for Yusuke, yeah, fuck it, dude, let's just have the best Persona Awakening scene in the game. Art. As for Brosuke over here, he's definitely on a different wavelength from everyone else, and that's just because we as pathetic human beings can't understand his genius. This palace, as said before, doesn't reach the heights of Kamoshida, which is disappointing, but we find out there's a black masked man threatening shadows, which has the capability to actually kill the person, so that's nice.
The art world revolves around money, after all. You can't rise up without any money.
You're literally talking to a member of the gamers. Now, after Madarame, we meet Akechi, who is pretty cool. Because he read book, he very smart. What the fuck? He hates gamers? His hot take is that their existence is dangerous, which is honestly reasonable. So at about this point in the game, the focus shifts from, we gotta take down these mean, nasty, rotten, inhuman adults, to, hey, these individual characters and their struggles are cool. Let's focus on them. This is most blatantly obvious with Kaneshiro, the next target, because he's only seen by the gamers once. Now this kinda cements that we'll never see another Kamoshida level guy, but it allows the palaces to do more of the talking for the target. You see, Makoto here is getting closer to figuring out we're the gamers. And oh, how about that? Makoto then strikes us a deal. Fix this mysterious money problem students are facing and nobody will have to know we're the gamers. So that means changing this faceless mob boss's heart, and after we know who he is and try to get to his palace. Aww. So the gamers come back to the hideout the next day. Fuck, it's Makoto. Fuck you, Makoto. Something, you're worthless, Makoto.
Useless? Right now, you're useless to me.
She gets us away into the palace and massive debt. That PlayStation you wanted the other day, the 5 one. How much was it?
About 3 million. For real?
As previously stated, Kaneshiro's identity is based on the palace itself rather than what you know of him from the real world because of that whole "who the fuck are you?" Beyond that, since the focus isn't really on the target, you're given more free reign to tackle the side characters and confidant side quests. Sojiro, Takemi, Hifumi, and others are all great characters outside your party. Then you get into Brosuke, Brokoto, Ryuji, that one doesn't quite translate. For me, getting stronger in Persona 5 was an actually good part of the experience, all because of the writing. It wasn't so much, I have to be a high schooler. Oh, if anything, it was more like I have to be a vigilante of justice, making people be burned with guilt and confess their crimes. A bit of the downside with this system though is sometimes quality of life good things are locked behind a confidant you never even knew about. I also gotta admit there were a few characters I wasn't sold on, and I mean besides Oya. Everyone hates her. Kasumi. As far as I know, the reaction on her is pretty split. My old roommate watched me play some of the opening act, and when he heard a few sentences from her, he said something to the effect of, "I hate her." So being the genius I am, I decided to romance her as a joke in my first run, but for the first hours, Jesus, she's uninteresting. Her sister died in a car accident, and apparently like Akechi, she doesn't approve of the Phantom Thieves, but her reasoning is really bad. Like, Phantom Thieves are supposed to be morally kind of ambiguous, but this is just wrong. Negative points. Fuck you. They just keep putting her in the story, and for a while I couldn't figure out why. She's put into the script of the game about as well as she's put into the script of this video. Anyways, Palace 4. We don't get a new party member off the bat this time. Instead, we need to change the heart of a good person because they still view the world in a very distorted fashion, but not in a mean boy way. There's this global hacker group, Medjed, targeting all of Japan because Japan likes the Phantom Thieves, who are still real. And the only person who can stop them out of the government, out of just, I don't know, Google. The only person who can stop them is our guardian Sojiro's adopted daughter, Futaba. Her shadow, unlike the others, is non-antagonistic. The basis being she knows she should treat herself a little better, but god darn it, she just can't admit it to herself. I like this palace overall. It had some good puzzles that went a little past where do I jump? Although I think the narrative could have used something a little spicier. You see, Futaba herself is the one who requests the change of heart, so I think a neat little spin would be, actually, I changed my mind. Don't change my heart, I deserve to feel this way. I think it would have been better than the twist of Alibaba is Futaba, although that's just my gamer opinion. The boss fight though is pretty good. It's about how Futaba sees her mother, and by killing it, the old, very wrong way she saw her late mother is now dead. Oh yeah, and she gets a persona also as well. The next few weeks in game, there's a ton of free time as you get Futaba rehabilitated from being a stinky neat gremlin. Up until now, Futaba's mother's death has been handled as a suicide, but she was studying the brain world that we use, and it's kind of deduced that she was killed. Was it by Black Mask Man? Probably. The group goes to Hawaii, bathes in virginity with Ryuji because Kasumi just wants to use me as a senpai and isn't actually romanceable yet. I see. We're about to enter the worst part of the game. Before we get into it, and this is absolutely key, a character nobody has any stake in dies. Anyways, as summer vacation ends, Morgana is like, well, you don't need me, I guess. Oh yes, this is the worst part of the game. The party splits into two parties, Morgana and the character's actually worth anything. You're useless. No, you're useless. Ugh. And in my defense, I was only using him to heal my party, so he is useless. He picks up Haru as an accomplice, which honestly fits his party's dynamic. To steal the heart of Haru's own dad, a big president of a company guy who is basically selling off her entire life so he himself can become a politician. At this point, the gamers are known to not only be real, but also good. Akechi, the bozo, is sure they're still mean, but a lot of people hate him for it now, so that's pretty cool. The people want to see the gamers strike Okumura, and it's pretty obvious that he dies. But all of this, it's a good setup. Haru, though, didn't grab me in any way, unlike literally every other mainstay party member. I am really not a fan of Haru. I know I have some wacky opinions sometimes, some bad opinions sometimes, but before you get angry, bro, hear me out. It's 4 senses versus 5, and I can taste your fear. And honestly, I think a lot of these issues can be traced back to her persona awakening. Let's reel it back a bit. Ryuji and An gathering their strength to face their abuser. Yusuke coming to terms that his father figure is a terrible person. Makoto recognizing to live her own life she just can't do as told. Futaba admitting to herself that she's been lied to about her mother's death. All of these are good scenes. Yet with Haru, we see her with her persona already partly awakened, and that gives her awakening cutscene a lot less impact, but that's not the only thing. Every other shadow faced with an awakening had an element of fear to them. Haru, when awakening against her father, what does her father say?
Then so be it. You're worthless.
Right now, you're useless.
I guess that's my main issue, her lack of impact and input on the gamers. Ren is the leader, Morgana has knowledge of the metaverse, Ryuji is the heart, An keeps their morals in check, Yusuke is the logical voice of reason, Makoto is the brains, Futaba is the tech wizard and navigator. What does Haru even do? Even when she's confronting her father's inner shadow in the palace, the game says, oh, Haru doesn't betray her team. That's actually pretty cool. Actually, Morgana time. Well, why? Also, as well, Haru said to destroy the Haru robot before it self-destructed, which almost got me killed at the very end of the worst boss in the game, so that's pretty cool. At the end of the day, in conclusion, fucking kill him. So not only are the gamers framed for the death of Okumura, but also the death of... Do you guys even really care? After getting dogged on for being only mostly good, Kasumi finds a palace. Oh, Wawi, a person acquainted with me, my age, that has a persona, that's only heard of like most of the time. She's far too busy with being mediocre at gymnastics to join us though. And the palace we were so worried about, I guess, just disappears. I'm gonna level with you guys. At this point in my run, I was very weak, and that's because I just wasn't using my time efficiently. With Royal specifically, to get the true ending, you need to rank up 3 specific confidants. The all previously mentioned Maruki, Kasumi, and Akechi. Maruki let slip that he had a girlfriend at one point, but they're apparently not together anymore. He's still not very realistic, but he's very well intentioned. And he's still getting to know more and more of your party, even the ones that don't go to your school, aka fucker high. As for Kasumi, but we clearly just had the Kasumi update corner. Come on, stay on top of the game. Anyways, Akechi is on our case for some reason, knows who we are for some reason, and wants us to join forces with him for one last heist against Sai, Makoto's sister and Akechi's friend, and then we disband. Since our hands are kind of tied, we accept his offer and come full circle to where we were in the very beginning. Aha, he do a dance. This palace is super good. I love the casino theme. The song is super good and it's also really funny. Seriously, whenever Akechi has a good idea, the entire party says, yeah, you might be right, dipshit, and they just do his idea anyways. So, the gamers, after defeating Shadow Sai, reveal they already knew who sold them out. Who could it? It was obvious. It was obviously Akechi. I legit only know one person who didn't see this coming, and he thought the person that sold us out was Makoto. As I said, we're caught, handled very nicely, and the plot catches up. There's no joke, an hour's worth of cutscenes showing that Sai trusts us now, how we were set up to begin with Okumura, and what we did to suspect Akechi. TLDR, Morgana talking about pancakes 70 hours ago is what tipped us off to him being an Omega loser. Goddamn baby geniuses 3 over here. Igor is happy with the state of our rehabilitation, but now we need to figure out who Akechi worked for, and it turns out it's the same guy that ruined Ren's life. After some master sleuthing to find out the obvious guy is behind everything, the gamers find out that Shido is actually so fucking lame. Throughout the game, he's scheming to become the next prime minister of Japan, but I don't know if they let eggs do that. Oh, and he's also the guy that set up the gamers and made people think that they are murderers. He also killed Futaba's mom. Basically, he did everything, even make Akechi. He's Akechi's dad, so hey Akechi, we were just talking about you. Akechi reveals he was the Black Mask guy, showing his true power, which, by the way, a high school age boy talking about his power status in a modern day setting is hilarious. Either way, he's doing this to take down and expose Shido, but we beat him and pretend he can be redeemed. Akechi, you're just like us. He fucking dies, but not before saving us, so that's pretty cool. I know in these past few minutes I've been really negative, but the Shido calling card? It's pretty clear that we could never deliver a physical card to him. That just wouldn't work because he's just that powerful. It would never get to him. So we get Gamer Girl to hack into TV so everyone knows. Shido's kind of a massive prick. Getting the calling card off against a guy so powerful, no matter how lame he is, was pretty cool, honestly.
That is why. That is exactly why. I cannot forgive myself.
Now that Shido has been revealed to be a fucker, we find there's more problems with the Great Nippon than just Shido. The general populace still have their wishes distorted and don't seem to care that Shido is objectively the worst guy. I killed some people, who hasn't? So we return to the Palace of the Public and reach the depths where... this is fine. Igor, I know you're the one who called me here, but I have some questions. What's up with all this, and why does this thing transparently have your voice? So this Igor that has praised and assisted Ren this whole game turns out to be a fake, and the game of the main character versus Akechi, which he set up, turned out to be just a way for this fake Igor, aka God of Control yelled about, to justify just taking control of the minds of humanity by fusing the metaverse with the real world. He twists the mind so we don't exist in their mind anymore, so we just don't exist, I guess. Very cool. Thankfully, we oppose him by convincing the twins that I never mentioned because they're bad, that in order to become less bad, they have to fuse. Yeah, this is her original form, but it's a funny joke, so I'm keeping it in. Also, Morgana, not a human. Save your shock for later. Instead, he was made by the real Igor, who still has this cute nerd voice.
Welcome to the Velvet Room.
Since the fusion of the real world and metaverse isn't entirely complete, we have some time to face the god of control, and with an audience of onlookers cheering us on, we use a big bullet to beat the big bad guy, save Christmas like good children. This ending is super weird to me. I mean, honestly, it just seems out of place when you think of the modus operandi of the gamers. They only wanted popularity to help Morgana, and they acknowledged that bathing in the attention that they did receive was bad. Here you have a ton of people cheering you on unquestioningly, which I suppose it's nice because they do doubt themselves a lot, but I thought one of the points of having you be thieves of justice is that not everyone would agree with you. And I do know they'd rather cheer for thieves than mind control. Still feels weird to be in this situation. But even after beating, let me check, an evil god, we're still expected to go to Juvie to testify against Shido. Good thing Akechi's got our back, am I right, fellas? You fucking died, though. Good thing we're not digging up any other graves. Oh, okay. Oh, of course, we gotta go back to the palace that still exists, even though the metaverse collapsed. Please say psych. So Ren and the squad investigated, and by the squad I mean Akechi and Kasumi, two not squad members because the squad just kinda accepts dead people and hot Morgana are a thing. Speaking of dead people, Kasumi fucking dies. And by that I mean Kasumi died past tense. You see, Sumere's still alive and well, but she thinks she's Kasumi because of this bozo over here. Maruki, Mr. Life Band-Aid, decided a good life Band-Aid for Sumere would be fucking mind controlling her into thinking she's Kasumi. What a morally acceptable doing? This, in my opinion, forgives Sumere for being incredibly generic for the first hours. This is because she was convinced she was her sister, but as seen in her later confidant ranks, which I guess, spoiler, you get one of the most advertised editions of Royal for more than 5 minutes, she didn't entirely understand her sister. Now that we learn it's Maruki's palace and Sumere is just okay with being mind controlled, we need to convince the gamers that we didn't become friends over being all buddy-buddy for no reason, but through supporting each other through our own abuse and sorrow. Guys, I don't know how to say this. The gamers didn't bond over happiness. We all know video games blow ass. Once the boys are back, we save Sumere and decide, hey, Maruki? Pretty cringe. Maruki mind-controlled everyone because he's the one who gained power over mementos after Yaldabaoth's defeat instead of the ideal outcome of nobody. And this is combined with his power of actualizing a reality that a person sees. Oh, there's dead parents? No problem. Just actualize it and boom, back to life. It's good. He chooses not to just outright kill us because, hey, he's a good guy. He just doesn't want us to think for ourselves. Sumire decides being herself pretty okay now, so now we have our gang, and what a gang it is. Throughout this arc, they've finally managed to make a target that surpasses Kamoshida, who was still the very first guy. Each target served their own purpose, I suppose, but Maruki is excellent. He's essentially doing the same thing that Yaldabaoth did with one key difference. He just wanted to make people happy, even if it means living fake lives and rewriting history, which he can do now because he has control over reality. What don't you understand? However, his power won't become complete until February 3rd, so he must venture through his palace, which is god tier like him. It explores the themes and half-truths presented in Maruki's Confidant, as well as his thought process. That being that his morals are pretty correct, and other morals, they're not wrong, but they could do a better job of not being absolute garbage. Also, while he's basically a god at this point, it's shown that not even a god could accomplish his mission. The mementos requests still pop up, and they are just darker than ever. Jesus. Party members ranked up to 10 come to terms with this reality being fake, while also getting really overpowered abilities. I mean, just give me the money, am I right, fellas? And much like Sai's palace, you can't actually steal the treasure until the final day. And when that day comes, yeah, Akechi was dead this whole time. Also, just to go off on a little tangent, I love Akechi and all, but maybe the in-universe characters shouldn't. Hear me out. It's because he kills people, and he finds joy in it.
This is great. I feel so alive. I'll sow chaos as far as the eye can see.
Keep in mind, this is a high schooler saying this. This is hilarious. Yes, introducing the world's first RPG boss fight with like 4 phases that's actually good. It's called a hyperbole, thanks. You got the first phase, which is a lot of baton passing, and because I was so weak, it took me a hot minute. The second phase, which is much weaker, and that's the last real one. The last 2 phases are more metaphorical. I mean, for the third phase, he fuses with his persona as it completely overtakes him. It's simply impossible to fight it head on, but as a team, we're unstoppable. It's really nice hearing your party come to terms with their trauma, but their willingness to push forward. And Akechi is still really cool.
I'm a bit occupied, so do your goddamn job!
Now is my line? Checkmate. Okay, so when do I get paid? The last phase is just Maruki accepting he's been defeated. This is a man who committed his life to a goal that would be positive for humanity, yet couldn't see it come to fruition due to being beaten down and taken advantage of for years. And when he does get a chance, he finds the goal he was reaching for his entire life wasn't feasible, even for a god. And so we return to the original real reality, where it turns out this scene, that didn't happen. Ren is just in juvie, and once he gets out, he meets with all the gamers one last time before we all go our separate ways. This ending is much better than the previously mentioned vanilla ending, in my opinion. The gamers are supposed to be morally gray figures fighting for their own justice, and this ending communicates that way better than big gun, big shoot, bad guy with crowd cheer, yes. Not everyone here would be on the thieves' side, and I feel like it's a much more fitting end for the group. Yeah, this game was pretty good.